Welcome to Be Seen Season 2. Hosted by yours truly, Divina Duven.
Hola mis amores, this is your host Divina Duven, and I wanted to welcome you back to Be Seen Season 2. Today's guest is a dynamic performer whose work blends drag, pull, conceptual storytelling, kink, and advocacy into something truly unforgettable. Known for their striking makeup artistry and emotionally charged performances, they continue to push boundaries while creating work that feels both powerful and deeply personal. They are a member of the House of Garden and have performing at some of Indianapolis' biggest events, including the TD 500, Girl Pride, and Club Sappho. They have also created and hosted their own production, Carnal, a 3-day showcase featuring floor-to-ceiling floor performances from artists across Indiana and neighboring states. I want to welcome to the TV Scene Season 2 stage, Emme Fatale.
Hello, hi.
Thank you so much for being here, Em. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling so good. I feel so excited to talk to you, and I'm so excited and happy to be here.
Yeah, you look incredible.
Thank you.
Out of the gate, one thing that I want to highlight about you is your makeup artistry. I think it is probably one of my all-time favorites. Your makeup artistry is something that I truly admire. Like, it's so cool. It's so cool to see.
Thank you.
For our first segment, I just wanted to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to our audience and share your story a little bit and what you do. For people who may not know your work yet, how would you describe yourself as an artist and performer?
I would describe myself as more of a drag creature than like a king or a queen. I started out like my performing through like pole dance, and so that's where I really like got into performing.
I would love to know how everything started. Like, what pushed you originally to start performing?
Well, okay, so when like 3 or 4 years ago, I started going to drag shows in Indianapolis more when I moved here. I remember my friend Paige, who was like my first friend when I moved here, took me to a kinker show, and I saw Beelzebub, and I was gagged by him, and just thought that what he did was so cool, and like the clown drag I thought was really cool. The like kind of like creepy vibes that he gives as well, and his like aerial stuff that he does on Lyra I thought was really cool. And then I started around the same time as that I went to my first drag show. I started taking pole classes. I met this like studio owner at a club, just like a bar, and we were talking, and I'd always wanted to like take a class, so I started doing that, and I got really into it. It was really fun. They have showcases like at studios. It's pretty like standard, just kind of like a recital for people to have like a low stakes opportunity to perform. And so I started to do that, and that was how I got into it. And my first act was very creepy, like horror movie based, and then I after that like wanted to do the Kinker talent show, and I just kind of like meandered my way into more drag performance stuff.
What would you say are your biggest inspirations when it comes to your style and your performances?
I would say in terms of my style, my inspiration, I get a lot of inspiration from horror movies that I watch. I've always been really into scary movies, and I'm very into the like good for her genre of scary movie. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's more like hot, like femme characters who get screwed over and then like kill people.
Revenge.
Right. Yeah. So like Jennifer from Jennifer's Body was like a really big, that was actually like the first pole act I ever did was a Jennifer's Body cosplay, where I did something similar with like the silicone prosthetic. Yeah, and yeah, like Pearl. I've done a lot of like horror based things. more recently, an inspiration of mine has been one of my best friends and roommate now, Incarnate. So Incarnate art form has been really inspirational to me just because, you know, she's been very like validating with my style as like a drag performer. I think I have a tendency to think of myself more as like an aerial artist or like a pole dancer, just because that's how I got started. And sometimes I have like felt like I can be over reliant on pole and not leaning enough into like drag that I would want to do. And so Incarna is definitely a big inspiration for that. I think she has a very she's got like her cyborg like kind of alien whatever robotic genderless thing going on, that I really look up to and admire. So
One thing that I love about you both again is your unique styles of performance, and at the end of the day, drag is not a set thing. Like it's not something that you can put between four walls or inside a box. I feel like there is such a huge world, and it's a beautiful art form that we get to explore, and everybody has their own unique spin on it. So I absolutely love your style of drag and performance, as well as Incarnate. Shout out to Incarnate art form. We love you so much. And hopefully we'll have you over here on the To Be Seen chair soon. I wanted to ask what drew you to pole and aerial performance at first. Was that something that you kind of always wanted to do, were curious, or maybe you saw a show or showcase and you were like, oh, I want to do that?
Yeah, I think a big part of it, my draw towards it, was my background in like gymnastics. I did competitive cheerleading like growing up. And I always really liked, I was never much of a typical like sport person. My mom always jokes that I like, when I played soccer, I would be like doing cartwheels and like picking flowers in like the goalie like area.
Literally me.
Because I just like could not care less. So yeah, was big into like competitive cheer. I loved like working up to like learning a trick. Like I always thought that was, instead of like winning a game or something, like it was more working up to learning how to do like a flip or like throwing someone in the air, and it made me feel like pretty and it made me feel strong. So I think that was a big, like when I saw pole like classes as like a thing, I always thought it was interesting. Also I have friends who are like strippers and sex workers who, and like I've been to strip clubs and it just looks very fun. So just as a movement style. So yeah.
I know that outside of performance yourself and going to shows, you took the opportunity to host your own event and produce your own event, Carnal Grip, that happened this past Valentine's Day weekend. So I would love to talk a little bit about that and how the idea came to be, and how was that experience for you?
Yeah. So I wanted to have a show where I could cast not just pole performers, but also drag. I don't really see a lot there's a big pole community out there where they'll have like pole performances or aerial performances. So that's like lyra, silks, things like that. But I don't see a lot of like pole and drag. I have more recently in Indianapolis, which has been really cool, but that was just something I didn't get to see a lot of. And I always have an interest in like a drag creature, a drag monster. And I, with pole, always just love a creepy piece. So I just wanted to have a show that encapsulated that a little bit more than what I see. And with Valentine's Day, I just thought it would be a cool idea to have something like creepy for Valentine's Day, because obviously we tend to think of it as very like pink and pretty.
Hearts and love. And
yeah. I actually got a big, like an inspiration for it by like local haunts, like haunted houses.
Yeah.
I can't remember the one specifically. There's a couple locally that do like seasonal haunts.
Yeah,
So
like the Hannah Haunted Acres and like Indy Scare Park.
yes, Indie Scream Park, Nightmare on Edgewood is another one, and Necropolis is another one. In Indy, but they'll do, in addition to like doing them during Halloween, they'll do them like occasionally for like Christmas or Easter or Valentine's Day. So I knew that they had, some of them have done like Bloody Valentine's Day like haunts, and I just thought that was a cool concept. So
Thank you so much for sharing all of this about yourself. We're going to take a little break and we'll be right back. I hope you're enjoying this week's episode of To Be Seen. You can see our guest, Emme Fatale, performing on the next edition of Beyond the Binary this Friday, July 24th. This Sunday, July 26th, come out to Brunch Fest 2026 at Healer. Enjoy a brunch menu, drag performers, artist vendors, and 10 incredible musical acts. Doors at 11 a.m. and drag at 1 p.m. We also wanted to highlight the next edition of Transplant hosted by Incarnate Art Form, also happening at the Back Door on August 15th. Welcome back to Be Seen Season 2 with Emme Fatale. While we were on our break, the phone keeps ringing, and I think there's a call in there for you, so I think we should check it out.
okay.
Hi, it's Taryn. I hope that your interview is going well. When Divina asked me to share a little something via voice message, the first thing that I thought of was just our first time going to Chicago together to go see Dragula, and we had a really nice weekend, but one part that I remembered was as soon as the show was over and we got to see all these amazing performances from all these drag monsters, you turned to me and the first thing that you said was how inspired you were. And I think ever since then, because that was last August, it's been amazing watching your performances grow and become more complex and more subversive, and it's just been such an honor and a privilege to see you grow as an artist and as a person.
Sweet.
I know that you're sometimes hard on yourself, or sometimes very stressed out or anxious about your numbers.
Coming
and
from
it just
him.
makes me laugh
Sorry.
because you always pull through and you always do amazing, and you're going to keep doing amazing, and I'm so proud of you. I love you so much.
Gay? Sorry. I'm sorry. Thanks, Taryn. That was sweet.
For those of you who don't know, that was Taryn Closeoff from season 1 of To Be Seen, and another one of our incredible local artists here in Indianapolis.
Was my reaction okay? Do we need to redo the gay thing? I'm just kidding. Okay.
As Taryn mentioned, that one instance in Chicago that you both went to see Dragula, and that show inspired you. What do you think inspires that drive to keep pushing yourself artistically?
I'm going to talk specifically about like some of the things I saw in that show that made me say that, and I'll talk more about it. But a big one for that show specifically was Asia Consent. She had 2 acts that were both amazing. One of them was like it was based off of the Terrifier movies. So Art the Clown, who I clearly have an affinity for here. She like dressed up like Art the Clown, and it was like it was disgusting what she was like. There was like shit on her, like literally, like yeah. And she was like, there was like a video being played on the screen where she was like reenacting just like parts from the movie, and it felt very like something I would see from like a local artist, like somebody just like well, not local anymore necessarily, but I think about like Sierra Mist. I've seen her do like a Scream themed act at Subspace where like she like recreates the movie like on the screen and then she comes out. It was like that, and it just felt very like, oh, you know, like I don't know, very like accessible, and it was just cool seeing something that I'm very interested in. Again, like I really just love any like horror type stuff. And then she also, her second act was like a complete 180. So that one was like filthy and just like disturbing. And then the second one, she came out with like these angel wings, and I forget what song. It was an Ethel Cain song, and it was just about like violence like against trans women. And it was just really beautiful, and everybody was like crying. And I think that like dichotomy of her acts was really inspirational to me, because I aspire to be able to like make people like grossed out and like laugh at like how dumb whatever it is I'm doing is, right? But then also like to be able to make people cry and like experience that like gamut of emotion in one show, I think is really cool. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Shifting gears a little bit, I know that it's very beautiful to hear people like Taryn speak about you with that much admiration and respect and share such a beautiful memory. I know that you also are a member of the House of Garden. You are now roommates with Incarnate. I think we as queer people, chosen family is so important. So I wanted to ask you, what does that has meant to you?
What like family has meant to me, like drag family.
Yeah, like chosen family and being close to the artists that you not only get to share these spaces with and perform with, but they also in a way become more of like a support outside of the performance space.
Yeah. I think, I mean, it has meant so much to me, and I think in the last like year or so, having like a family of performers has really helped me just like as an artist and helped me grow. I think it's really meaningful to me to see people that I love and care about, who I do consider my family, like seeing them perform like after knowing them and like loving them feels more special. So for example, like I actually, the first time I saw Incarnate perform was at the finale of your
Monster
show.
House, yeah.
Yes. And I was just amazed. And I think like when you're really close with people and you know them outside of just performing, you know the stuff that they're dealing with and what they're going through. And so then when they like do, like I'm a Cancer also, so that's part of it. But I have been known to like cry when like my friends are performing because I just know like where it came from and like the place that they were in when they like came up with that idea, and it just like means a lot more. And I think people like maybe see that, like people who are my family who see my acts maybe think similarly when they see my stuff. So, yeah.
Thank you. One more thing I wanted to touch base on, and that Taryn kind of mentioned. I think every single artist and entertainer, I think, can 100% relate to this. I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves because we are so passionate about what we do that obviously that can bring a little bit of anxiety and stress because we want to do our best and showcase our best. What are some rituals or ways that you help yourself, that you use to help yourself get out of kind of that mentality, or like maybe even before a performance that you use to be able to get those nerves and anxiety away?
The first thing that came to my mind was taking a beta blocker, but that's not the only thing. Taking a prescribed something for anxiety has been helpful. But actually, like, that's a whole other thing. Yeah, like taking care of your mental health and like being medicated is good if you need it, and not like self-medicating, which has been like something that I've struggled with when I like have been anxious about things, you know. But any other rituals? I'm trying to think. I have this isn't really like a nerve ritual, but when I'm doing pole performances specifically, well, in general, when I perform, I get really nervous, and my anxiety makes me not hungry, or like it makes me not want to eat. And then when I'm doing pole, like I know I have to eat because otherwise I will like pass out if I like don't. And so Jimmy John's has been a recurring staple in my getting ready ritual because it's like easy on my stomach, and I don't have to make it, which is even better, and it's freaky fast.
Yeah. Thanks again for sharing all of this. And thank you, Taryn, again for leaving your message. We're going to take another little break and we'll be right back with more Emme Fatale. Thank you for watching To Be Seen. Here's some shows and events that we wanted to highlight on today's episode. First up, this Sunday, July 26th, the Art of Drag Bingo and Brunch Edition, hosted by Anna Cruzes at Hotel Alexander. Bingo and show starting at 10 a.m. Also happening on Sunday, the Mr. and Miss Gregson Place pageant starting promptly at 6 p.m. Honoring Mr. and Miss Gregson Place 2025, Jay Charles and MJ Banks. And on Tuesday, July 28th, the monthly edition of Indie's Got Talent Open Stage. Sign-ups starting at 7 p.m. to compete for a $100 prize. Okay.
Sorry.
Screaming.
Sorry. Great. Take two.
It's okay. We can try that again. Yeah. Yeah.
Get that. Get the titty shake on the side camera.
Like if I do that too much, it's gonna pop. Hello, welcome back to Be Seen with our very special guest, Emme Fatale.
Hi.
Welcome one more time, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
We are entering the last segment of our episode today, and I wanted to say that a lot of your work feels deeply connected to self-expression and reclaiming yourself through performance, and at the same time there's something that feels very intentional and freeing about the way you create, which I admire a lot, and seeing you perform like makes me feel empowered and embraced a lot. I think that for a lot of queer people, performance can become a way to reconnect with ourselves and not only reclaim but feel powerful within our own bodies and personalities. So I really love to talk a little bit about that with you and ask you, how has drag influenced your relationship with gender and self-expression?
So I think prior to starting drag and performing, I was going on a journey, I think, with my gender before that. I thought that, prior to performing, that in order to be like gender nonconforming or non-binary, that meant that I had to be like completely like gender neutral, like androgynous, and I kind of felt like that didn't apply to me because I really, as an AFAB person, like enjoy like my femininity, and so I felt like that meant that I was not on the spectrum of like gender nonconforming. And then when I started drag, I met people who are like non-binary or trans masc, but in their drag are like super femme. A few years ago at the time, somebody who comes to my mind is Ass Nico. They're pretty like masc or like gender nonconforming outside of drag. And then they have like long hair and they're super femme in their drag. So I don't know, I just kind of felt more like empowered by being around other people who still embraced their femininity as like an AFAB person. And so drag has definitely helped me like come into my own and realize that like I can still like dress up and still have like a femme like persona, and that doesn't mean that like I'm necessarily like a cis woman. So
It is so beautiful to hear that drag and performance has helped you, in a way, tear down those walls and allowed yourself to reclaim your identity and knowing that you don't have to conform to any kind of boxes or stereotypes. Because I feel like at the end of the day, drag, it's a lot about tearing those walls and kind of like climbing outside of the box in a way. So it makes me really happy that drag has become a safe space for you to explore and find yourself in a way. What is something that you wish more people understood about pole as an art form?
That's a really good question. Something that I wish people knew more about with pole as an art form. I think that obviously pole is rooted in like sex work and stripping, right? That's where it started. I think that a lot of people in maybe the indie drag community, particularly because we have done a pretty good job of like starting to integrate pole and sex work like into as like a known thing into the drag community. People don't really know that there's like kind of a split in with pole in terms of there's like this really big industry of like pole hobbyists. So that's like somebody that like I would fall into that as somebody who didn't like start doing pole from like stripping or sex work. And then there's the group of people who are like strippers and sex workers. And a lot of the time the two groups can like intermingle, but a lot of the time it can be very segregated. There's a lot of like in pole studios there can be just kind of like slut shaming. People will use the term like whorephobia for like sex work. So an example of that would be like somebody in a pole studio saying like posting something on their Instagram when they've like learned how to pole dance, and then somebody being like assuming that they're a stripper and them being like, I'm not a stripper, like in a way that's like I'm like othering, like I'm this is just like my little hobby, like I don't associate with them. Right. Where so that happens a lot in like both overt and covert ways. So I think that's something that I would like more people to be aware of, is that there is that split. And I think it's just important to think about if you are casting like aerial acts, including pole, into your performances, it's important to include sex workers in that as well. I think like as producers, especially as like a white producer, I am always wanting to make sure that I'm being inclusive of like different abilities, different bodies, like races, genders, etc. And then I also think about like sex work, like sex workers as like another one of those things to be thinking about is, am I in my pole show including like people who like actually this is like their lived experience and this is like their livelihood.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think you do an incredible job at highlighting where the art form comes from, educating other people, advocating. And I know you do so on your shows as well. And as a producer, another person that does an incredible job is Incarnate art form as well. I know she recently, probably like a few months ago, had a version of Transplant down at the back door that was aimed to highlight a lot of sex workers in our community, which I think it's so important and so beautiful. And it was such a beautiful night. So I want to thank you both for doing all of the work that you do. And to kind of wrap up this segment, one last question I wanted to ask is, what kind of spaces do you hope to keep creating and seeing within our community?
Let me think about that for a second. Things that I hope to continue with. I think I would really like to continue seeing more integration of like aerial arts and like more kind of circus style acts in our drag community. I have heard from like other cities, like drag scenes, that ours is a bit more integrated in that regard, in terms of like we will often have like drag and burlesque and pole and other things like integrated into one show, whereas in other places it's more separate. I'd like to continue that. I'd like to continue like continue fostering a community for like bridging the gap with like pole hobbyists like myself and sex workers and strippers. I am definitely like not perfect with, you know, as somebody who is like not of that experience. I definitely make a lot of mistakes. So I'd like to continue learning from those and just continuing like having conversations and being in community with all these groups of people. So
Do you think you will continue producing shows? Will we see maybe like a Carnal grip next Valentine's Day or coming up?
I would really like to have another Carnal grip. I would like for it to be a yearly thing. Yeah, so stay tuned on that. And also stay tuned for Divina's cakes.
Yes. One opportunity that I was so grateful for was that I was having a Valentine's Day bake sale kind of like around the same time, and was so nice to allow me to kind of collab with Carnal Grip, and I was able to showcase another part of kind of like my artistry, which is I love baking, and that helped me a lot since kind of drag is my only source of income right now. So it just meant so much to me, and I think it was a success, not only your show, but also being able to have my cakes featured.
Yes.
So
It was
thank
great.
you.
Of course, yeah. They were so good. And after after the show, so it was 3 shows in 2 days, and I had ordered multiple of Davina's cakes. And there was the strawberries and cream, and then there was like bananas
Banana
cream,
pudding.
which banana pudding is like my favorite. So I will, yeah. And I got home and I had brought coolers for like drinks for the show, and so I had put my I had put my banana cream pie puddings in my cooler, and so I get home and I'm like taking my makeup off and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to have Davina's cakes. And then I open it and there's none in there, and it was like, you know how shows are, like stuff just gets like flipped around, and I think somebody like who was like working the show like thought it was their cake, and I like messaged our group chat of like staff, and I was like, did somebody take my cake? Because I really want. But I was reunited with
Good.
There was a happy ending, so
I'm glad. I have to make some more and like bring you some now that I know that you like banana
that was
pudding.
really good. It was amazing.
We have a little signature closer for every To Be Seen episode.
Okay.
So I'll have you look at your camera, and then this is going to be your opportunity to give us like any message or anything that you want to put out there. It can be anything. Just address the people watching.
Okay. So I just
Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi.
You can think about it for a second too.
great.
Yeah.
Let me think about it for a minute.
Okay. This is Emme Fatale, and my message to you all is to keep having conversations with each other. Drag people need to stop fighting. Sorry.
No,
Stop
but
going on social media and blasting
that
everyone.
part. It's
Sorry. I can think of another one.
and sorry, I know it's your message, but now that you mentioned it, I'm gonna look at the camera and I'll just say it. I do think it's very unproductive to like just go on social media and blast each other. I think there's so much power in having conversations as adults. We are all so different and we all have very different opinions and make mistakes, but I think a lot of you don't realize how powerful a conversation in private can be.
Yeah. Come on, guys. Yeah, I think that there's gonna always be like drama and there's always gonna be issues, and I think especially like the stuff that I do with Pole, I think it's like I am an outsider of like that community, so I understand like how that might, like I'm ready to like address like conflicts, and I'm also ready to like admit when I fuck up, and I have admitted that and I will continue doing that. But yeah, let's just like talk. Let's just like have a conversation.
With that being said, I want to thank you so much again for your time and for allowing us to get a little bit of insight into who you are and who you are, not only as a person, but as a performer. So thank you so much for being a part of this special project that means so much to us.
Thank you so much for having me. I love you both, Nick and Divina. You're amazing.
We love you right back. And I want to thank everybody that has watched till the end of our video. Make sure that you like, share, comment, and keep sharing our platform. That way we can keep uplifting and sharing the stories of people that we love so much in our community. One more time, this has been Divina Divin and Emme Fatale. We love you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. We did it. Yes.